So this is going to be the final section, and on this one we are going to build a footer. I was going to add in like a contact us, but I feel like it's getting too long, and the thing is, you'll always learn better by yourself. So I would challenge you to create a sort of contact us page with the sort of information you got here. Everything you need is here and on the documentation. So, you know, go and make that jump for yourself, and yeah, build your own sort of contact us, and build on this as well and apply it to your own projects, because that is, in my opinion, the best way that you learn. So let's build the footer. And of course, in this we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put that div in there just for stylistic purposes, in case we want to add a margin, which eventually we will. Within this as well, we're going to add a sort of homage to ourselves. So let's add a span, and we're going to put, so for me it'll be Lewis Broadhurst 2022. On this same page we're going to have a sort of UL, which is going to have 4 list items, and that is going to be actually 3 list items. So it's going to be cookies, privacy, and careers. And actually it isn't 4, because the most obvious one, T's and C's, need to be added. So let's have a look at that now. So we've got those all lined up. Of course, we're expecting this to be, let's go back to mobile, because we are building mobile first. And of course, we sort of want these to not just be stacked like that. We want it a bit more interesting than that. Put these in a row. So on a, well, actually on a smaller screen, we want them on top of each other. So we do want these in a row though. So we do want the UL in a row. So we're going to have flex row. Let's justify center and item center as well, because of course we want them center, and just to make sure that there's nothing going up or down. And there we go. That's sorted. And all of these, so if you use Alt on Windows, I can't remember it's on Mac, but yeah, I'm sure you can find it. We can do all these at the same time. So we can do class, and we're going to use px-2, and that should give us some nice padding there. And then on the Lewis Broadhurst as well, I am going to do this actually. So I was just debating whether to do this, but I am. So I'm just going to copy and paste this in, because it's lots of font awesome stuff again. But just take your time, just copy it over, or maybe add your own ones as well. So I'm going to do that quickly now. So we've got that in there, and instead of putting the span at the end, I'm just going to put it in here, which obviously then needs to change to list, and just li here. So that's just like Twitter, GitHub, LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, all that's sorted. I prefer it on the other side though, actually. So I'm just going to switch that up. So here we're going to have to center these the same as we did with the top. So we've got flex on flex row. So let's just get justify center and item center. That is sort of the footer, and as we had the sort of green on top, I feel like it will make sense to end it with the green on the bottom. So we're going to add that in now. So we need class, and then the background of dark green A, I believe it is. Sometimes the IntelliSense doesn't work for the first one. I'm not really sure why, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah. Of course, now we need to do text Y, and of course as well we would need some padding, especially on the y-axis here. So we're going to put py5. I think it's actually okay on the x-axis, so left and right, and maybe a bit less. I'm going to put that to 4. And then I'm going to put some padding on the top and bottom of these, this div and the UL. So let's just do margin top actually. Margin top 1, and then margin bottom -1, just to separate these a little. And yeah, I think we're pretty much done for mobile. Let's just make sure we go on mobile, iPhone 5. So yeah, that's pretty decent for me. I'm not too fussed about that. You could be a bit more picky, and you could change these maybe into buttons or A tags or whatever, but of course it isn't actually necessary. So now let's make this responsive for a larger screen. So let's just get rid of this, inspect. And actually, with things like this, we could just leave it, because no matter how big we get, it still does actually look pretty decent. But what we could do is put them in line. So I'm going to do that actually. So I just need to check how wide we went on the header. So we went 8/12. So on the bottom we can do the same. So we'll just put it 2/3 because that's what it is. So large, extra large, sorry, 2/3. And then extra large, we want to go to oh no, we want to do it here, of course. So here, this whole thing should actually be, because I use the div, the stylistic div as the this part here. I've actually kind of messed up. I need to go back. I'm gonna take that. With the class of that, we're gonna take the div. So this is the stylistic div. The only use for it is to keep the background, because if we did put the Excel like width -2/3 on the top, then the header, the footer's background would also have the same effect. So that is why we do it, just to explain, just in case you're wondering. So here we want to go mx-auto. So when we're on an extra large screen, we should get that sorted. And then also we want to have, so this whole thing right now is flex on the smaller screen, flex, column. And then when we go XL, we want to go flex -row. And we do have a minor problem, because this is why you should always do things in a uniform fashion, because we have the margin top here and the margin bottom there. And of course, that means, I will just show you, that when we go to that extra large screen, we get this weird sort of, displacement. So we're not going to change it for now. It's something that maybe you could do as like a bit of homework for yourself. But I'm just going to put that XL there just at the end, and on this margin top, instead of that XL, MT is obviously 0, and we'll copy that, and on this one it should be margin bottom as 0. So that should remove the sort of displacement we get. Now it's all in line, and now we can do something like, we've got a flex row there, so XL, let's do justify between. And there we go, that's the footer done. We can do some hover states as well. So if we do, we could do the same as we had before. So instead of, repeating ourselves over and over again on the same part of, in the same HTML, we can just create small classes. A similar thing, as we had at the top, we're just going to go a little bit smaller and then change to a lighter color. So I am going to be a bit naughty and take this. So of course we don't want it to call header text, even if it is the exact same thing. We should either change it to header/footer text or whatever it is. because if someone else is looking at our code, we don't want to, you know, kind of ruin it for them. We also need the sort of this transition as well. So we're going to get that, and we are going to add it to our HTML. The whole of the footer class, we can just add the transition. And then for the things that we specifically want to have this sort of hover effect, we'll add that to. So that is kind of basically everything in here. So you see, even with this as well, this is the sort of negative of HTML that I spoke about at the start. Sorry, Tailwind at the start, is because, you know, you do end up with all these classes on top of each of them. We'll have an overview of this in a bit. And even in sort of this instance where we've really reduced the amount of code that we're writing in one line, maybe I could just put that into a smaller class, but of course then like sort of smaller CSS selector, but of course then it wouldn't be as descriptive. So it is a tough one to work out, but that's that sorted. And then when we hover over things, we get what we wanted. We get the things getting made smaller. And actually this isn't working. So let's go through, add these. They're all added now. And as we go over to the page, we can see we get our transitions working really nicely. So that's it for the website. Fully responsive. We've got some cool little transitions as well. We haven't actually done this button, which I completely forgot about. Let's just go quickly do that button, because everyone enjoys a good transition. Let's go in and just do it straight in line with everything. Let's not make an extra class for it, because it is the only thing we're doing. But if we were using React, say, and we were making a much bigger website, we could reuse this button in a sort of in a component, and that's one of the massive positives of React. So we could make that component, do the CSS for it, and never have to worry about the sort of CSS again, unless we want to specifically change it and pass it through as a prop or something like that. But of course, that's way past what we're doing here. So let's get started on this button. We are, and in this sort of area, actually all you do is you do hover. So when we hover over it, we're going to change the text to white. And when we hover again, we're going to do the background to the dark green A. And that should give us the sort of transition that we wanted to see. And as well, to do the transition in line with the sort of rest of the Tailwind theme, just put transition there, transition all, and duration of 300. So now we just get a nice sort of gentle change of color rather than the very sharp one that came before. Also, we can do the scaling as well in here. So we're just going to do hover, scale, 95, and we can see straight away what's coming up there, which sort of gives us hints. That's why the IntelliSense for Tailwind is so good. I really recommend to install that. Hopefully you did at the start. And there we go. That's it done completely now. Got the adopts now sorted. We've got our navbar, our account, our footer's looking good. Maybe we could increase the size of the text on the footer actually. But generally, this is it. This is all done. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something, and you could see how that Tailwind is actually really useful. And we didn't actually write. We wrote what, three like selectors in the CSS, and we did actually a whole sort of static page of a website, which is quite crazy, really. And when you look at the documentation and stuff, you really do start to see how powerful this can be. So yeah, that's it from me for this tutorial. I do really hope you enjoyed it and learned some Tailwind from it as well. Hopefully I showed why it's so useful, because writing those sort of styling things in line also does sort of go against the sort of separation of concerns that HTML, CSS and JavaScript have. It just does do it really well. And if you're sort of well versed with CSS, it can be really useful. That documentation again is so good. So if you have any troubles, refer to it and you'll find literally anything you need. And if you can't do what you wanted to do in Tailwind, or if, for example, the example we used, you know, there's so many things that we're putting in that were the same classes over and over again, the same sort of Tailwind abbreviations we were using, then you can just create your own custom class, or, you know, I'm sure you can integrate SAS with it as well. So if you're a massive SAS user, you can use that. Hopefully you really enjoyed it. Let me know if you did. Let me know what you thought about the tutorial in general as well, because it's my first one. So I probably was a little rusty at times. I definitely felt it whilst recording it. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, please like, please comment if you enjoyed it, if you'd like to see more of this sort of stuff. And hopefully I'll see you on